All right. So guys, today we have some few topics to cover. I hope mnanipata vizuri guys. Nice. So we have some few topics to cover today, and we are starting at this point. Static files definition, tuguze models kidogo, tuende kwa form submission, and eventually we deploy our project online. So if you can remember, since the last session we were able to we were able to view the index.html template, but then we got that the styling was missing. So I want to start by showing you how to fix the styling. So we are going to start with the index.html file, and the way to do it, we can first of all remove this. Then after that, we wrote that there is a code snippet here that we include in our HTML template, so that we can include our static files on this file. So this is what we have. We load static. After doing that, we check on all the links that are fetching the static files on our local files. For instance, we have this one. This is fetching from our local files, or rather from our local server. This one is fetching from an online server, so we don't have to make any changes on that. So what we do with those links that are fetching from the local server, you select that, you cut it, then inside the two quotation marks you add static. There is this second option, and it shows you a code snippet here of what it will add once you select that. So click on that. So just note what has been added, after which you paste the link to your CSS in the quotations. I hope you saw that. So let's do this other one. You copy the URL to the local CSS, or rather you cut. Then inside the two brackets, just type static. Click on that. It auto completes to this code snippet. Then in between the quotations, you paste that. Maybe you can just save and check if the two lines of code we updated has an effect on our website. And as you can see, it's taking a bit of shape. So we need to do this on all the URLs of the CSS and JavaScript that are fetching from our local server. So we can do that. This other one, we cut static, paste. And I think I'm done with the CSS. Then I reload, and as you can see, it's taking a bit of shape. So let me scroll down to where we have the JavaScript codes, and we are still going to do the same thing we did with the CSS. So you just select all the code of the path where the JavaScript files are found. Then inside you add static, enter, then paste in between the two quotations. Do that to all other lines of code. For now, you may not be able to check if the JavaScript codes are working, because basically JavaScript is meant to add functionality, some functionality to your website, which may not be as visible as we are able to check for the CSS. So we just add it and trust that it works as expected. So the next thing we need to do is to work on the images. As you can see, none of the images is showing. So we need to check on those lines with images. So this is one of them. We do that. We do that as well. So basically, what you need to note about static file is how to load the static files on these on the HTML files. I think we have somebody. So what you need to note is that you just need to load the static files. Once you do that, you start updating the different CSS and JavaScript links so that they take this code snippet. So do that to the images as well. Let me see if it's taking shape. Okay, I think we have the logo there. Let me just change some 2-3 images. All right, just a moment. So for those who are joining us, we have already started and we are trying to we are sorry, we are working with static files. So what we did, let me just do a quick recap, is that the first thing to do is to load the static file. We do that by adding this code snippet into the HTML templates. So once you do that, let me show you a quick example. For all the lines of code or for the static files that are being fetched locally, what you do, we take an example of this favor icon. So you cut this section, you cut that section, then add static. There is that code snippet. Then in between these two quotations, you paste the code that was there initially. So you do that to all the lines of code having images, CSS files, and JavaScript files. So I wanted to do just a few of them so that we can now proceed to something else. Let me check under the current projects so that I can add a few images under that section. Actually, images are added but are not reflecting. Let me see. All right. Okay. So we can see that there is a problem. Let me see where the problem is. static, folder named static. We have assets. Oh, sorry. I think I moved too fast. So guys, before we do that, we need to create a folder whereby we are going to define the static files. So if you can remember, initially we copied all the basically all the files of our templates to this folder called templates. So our static files are inside the templates folder. So what we need to do is that we need to create a new folder and name it static. Once we do that, we copy all the static files. These are these files under assets. This is where we have the CSS files, fonts, images, and JavaScript files. So these are the files that we are going to copy into the static folder. Let's move, rather not copying, let's move them. So once we do that, I trust we still have to do some updates. Let me give you the update. So there are some codes that you need to add to the settings.py file to take care of static files. Basically, I think we can think of static files being some special kind of files that need special configurations. So back to our VS Code, let us expand our project, settings.py, then scroll down. Under this section, we need to add these lines of codes. I'll be sure to share these files. So you basically add these lines of code. Once you do that, save that. Then we also have some few lines of code that we need to add to our urls.py file. So let's open this file. We need to add some few lines of code. Let me add some more. Alright, we just copied and pasted some lines of code, and all that we did was to ensure that the static files are working as expected. So let's see if we have a change. So we actually wanted some of them to work because we didn't make an update on all the static files. So as you can see, some of the images are showing. Those that are not showing are those that we haven't updated yet. So all you needed to do is to just a quick recap. You create a folder, name it static. Once you do that, ensure to place all the static files inside that folder. Then in the settings.py, ensure you have these lines of code here. Once you do that, you also edit the urls.py file and add all that you are seeing here. Basically, we had this first and the third lines of code. Then we also had these two. So basically, everything else we have added for the purpose of the static files. So just take note of that. So if you see that the static files are not working as expected, you can always inspect by checking. You can right click. There is this option. You just right click anywhere, click on the inspect option, and you will be able to see how your static files are responding. So you click on this console, Basically these that are showing error 404 are those that we have not added the static code snippet. But if you checked, this is the section that we checked before we went further to troubleshoot. So from your end, probably when you are doing some practices, you can continue changing all the lines of code that have either an image or a CSS file. But I think for the CSS and JavaScript, we have made the necessary updates. What we didn't update were the images. So let me just do an update of the slider. I thought we before we ended the last time session, we had already set up the folder and all that. I think that's why I came and skipped that important step. All right, so we have been able to update a number of images, as you can see. So basically that's how to work with static files. You add the static code snippet, then you update all the CSS, JavaScript, and image files. You got it clear, guys? Anyone with a question about how to work with static files? Perfect. How about the others? You can just click on any of the emoji. Thank you, Ashford. All right. Thank you. So, yes, Kim, how are you? Kimani, are you well? Perfect. So we were talking about static files, and it's that easy. You just do the loading, then you make the necessary updates. So the next thing I want us to check on models, and for this case, I want us to update the current project dynamically. For instance, you have some learning projects, or you hope to get some projects in future, so you need to make this section dynamic, because at the moment, if you have for instance, you have taken this you have hosted this web application and you get a project, you need to edit your HTML files. You need to edit that section where we have the current projects, and add similar code with your project. But then that is not how it's supposed to be. You are supposed to log into an admin dashboard, upload an image, the title of the project, and some more information about that project. So that's what we want to do now. So there is this, okay, let me corrupt that and that as well. So we are going to work with our application. In our application, we have this file called models.py. So in this file, this is where we are going to define our models, the models that are related to this application. So before you design a database, because that is actually what we want to do, we want to know exactly what data do we want to save. Once you establish the data that you want to save, then you can proceed and start writing your codes. So for instance, in this case, I want to create a table that will save an image, that will also save a title, that will also save some explanations. So let's see what code you need to write here. So basically you define a class, then you give it a name. I can just give it a name of project. Then we inherit it from models.model. Then you have a colon, full colon. Then you start defining the fields. So the first entry, we can talk of title. Then let's talk of model dot. So in Django models, we have some data types. We have some data types that you need to be aware of, so that whenever you want to save data, you can refer to, or rather you can use those data types to define your table entries. So for instance, a data type that will store a title, we call it child field. I'm not sure why it's not it's models dot child field. So with this, you need to define a maximum length. This is a required entry when defining child field. So with the maximum length, you can it's for you to decide the maximum length of the input that you wish to save on that entry. So for instance, if it's basically a title to your project, supposingly we can give it 100, a maximum length of 100. We don't suppose that any project will go past that. So probably if it goes past that, then I think that should be part of the explanation. So we go to the next. After title, we have an image. We have an image field. Then the data type for this is image field. Once you have that, you also include where the images should be saved. So we talk of upload to. Then we can have it as a project uploads. So basically it will create once you do the migration and start uploading the images, this folder will be created, and that's where the images will be stored. Sorry guys, I think I got disconnected. Are you able to get me? All right. I think I had lost my network. Sorry for that. All right, just a moment. All right, so I was saying there is this field called image, or rather we have included an entry image, and mentioned that the data type for this is image field. Then besides that, you also have to mention where the images are to be uploaded. So once this project has been once you start uploading projects, a folder named project uploads will be created automatically. But for this case, you don't need to worry about it, because the rest will be handled by Django. So the next field is info. Let's talk of info. Then we also have another data type that will take some more characters. So for the info section, These may include a lot of information that you may not be able to give an estimate of the length of the characters involved. So in that case, you use the text field data type, and you don't include any snippet of maximum length or anything like that. So probably the next thing we may want to add is a date, either the date of posting, or you can talk of the date the project was completed or the date the project was started. So it's for you to decide, especially for these extra fields, because the data that we want to display here doesn't include the date. So it's for you to add whatever field that you may want. So for instance, we can add a date field. So the purpose of this date field can record the time we posted that project. So we can talk of models dot date. So we have date time field and date. We have date time field and date field. So in this case, let me go with the date time field. So this one will record both the date and time. So now that we don't want to enter this data manually, we can talk of auto underscore now underscore add equals true. So in that case, when entering new projects, we will not have an option of adding the date when we added this data. It will be added automatically by Django. So the next field that we can add, we can talk of status. The status of the project. So it can be completed or otherwise. So we can choose to use a Boolean field. All right, sorry. So we can choose to use a Boolean field. We can, instead of calling it status, we can talk of completed. Then let's use something like Boolean field takes either true or false. So default, you need to in this field you need to define the default status. So for instance, we can talk of the default being false. Yes, welcome. So you need to define the default. So we can have it as false. Then there is another data type that I would want to show you. So we can talk of status. Then let's define. So what I want to do with this status field, it's for our own consumption. We are not going to display this to our users. This is for the admin. So I want us to classify our projects as started, completed, something like halfway. I'm thinking of that such kind of statuses. So let me see. Let me call it project status. Yes, okay. Currently tuko kwa Django models. All right, karibu sana. I'm sure you'll catch up. All right, in case utakwama pahari, just let us know, tutakuelezea. All right. So I'm just thinking of the type of statuses that we can add so that we are able to use another type of table entry. So let me think of something like level 1. So now that we are the project managers, we know what it means by level 1. Let's have level 2. So what we need to add here, we need to add models dot child field, then we add choices, then we add the project status, then we also need to define the max length here. Let's talk of 50. So basically what this one does, in the admin dashboard, it will give us a drop down where we are going to be able to select between level 1, level 2, and any other levels that we may want to include in this section. Let's do level 3. All right, so we are not going to go deeper than that in models. So let's create a table with these fields and see what we need to do next. So once you add these models code, the next thing will be to do migrations. So migration means these table will be mapped to our database. And then there is something we also need to know. Now that we are using an image field, we need to install a package that takes care of the images, and that package is called Piro. So let us first of all install Piro. Pip install Piro. Let's give it some few seconds. It's not supposed to take as much time. So in the meantime, we can also open a terminal in this section. Let me see. Right. So what we need to do, this is the code that is used to do the migration. We have Python manage.py make migrations. Not sure if it will complete before Piro is installed. Alright, I think Piro has been installed. Alright, so we just did our migration using this command. Let me just share it quickly. So once we do the migration, I think you may also need to consume this. This was used to install Piro, which is a package that takes care of the images. So once you do the migration, you now need to migrate. What do you mean everything is contained inside, please? Sure. So okay, let me just mention a few. So for the models, you are creating the model inside the application models folder. So you define the model, and we mention about a number of data types that you need to be aware of. After defining the models, you do the migration. So the codes that you are running for the migration, sorry? All right. So would you kindly put it on mute? I think it's All right, thank you. So for you to do the migration, you need to be first of all in the root folder of your project. That is where you are able to see manage.py, because basically this is the file that we have been using to run most of our commands. So when we run python manage, so we need to have manage on the same directory, then run the two migration commands. I'm not sure if I answered your question, please. All right. Okay, perfect. So we did run this command as well. Copy. So having run the two commands, our table has been mapped on our database. So we are now wondering, how do we go about adding data to that table, to that model. So this is what we need to do. So for us to be able to add the data, we need to create a super user. We need to create a super user who will be managing all the admin operations. So the way to do that, you run python manage.py create super user. We have that command. Click enter. So you are given the name of the machine you are using. If you plan to change, you can enter the name you prefer, the username. Click enter. During the development process, you may not necessarily need to have an email. Skip that. For the password, add a password, and if you note, it's nothing shows when you are typing the password. So once you key in your password, click enter, then click enter again. Then I think I did not enter a strong password, but I just want to skip that. So I enter yes, Y, and click enter. So with that, we have created a super user. Let me just share that. Alright, having created a super user, we now proceed to log into the admin dashboard. Python manage.py run server. Alright, so we come, let's come here. So if you remember, in our there is the urls.py in our project folder. We have a link here defined, rather a path defined, and it has admin. So this is the link that is defined to log you into the admin dashboard. So it was defined when we created our project. So for us to access this dashboard, you key in either your domain name or the IP, then /admin. It opens this dashboard. Then let me input my password, rather my credentials. These are those that I just created by creating a super user. Then click login. So one thing, the good thing about Django is that these interfaces are provided for you. So you just need to focus on what really matters to you. I think for other languages, you have to create this from scratch. So you also need to be a front-end developer for you to achieve this. All right, so we are here. So what you want to do is to add some projects, but we are not seeing our table here. So what we need to do, let's continue. All right, so what we need to do, let's come here to our application. Let's expand that. Then there is this file called admin.py. We click on that. So what we need to do is that we need to import our model from the model that we just created. So let me show you how to do it. So we talk of import from all models, import projects. So remember, we named our project the table. We named our table projects. So from all models, import project. So it's from all models under this folder under our application. Import from all models. So we have a dot or a full stop there. From all models, import projects. Then we proceed and talk of admin.site.register. Once we do that, we add projects. Then save that. We come back here and reload. And there we go. We have been able to have our project appear in the admin dashboard. So we can click here to view our projects. We have no projects at the moment, so we are going to add some projects. So we have this add projects button. Click on that, and this is what we defined. We defined a table that was to accept a title, an image, some information, then the status, or rather we wanted to know whether it's completed or not. We also have we defined some statuses here, some status levels. So let me just name it as project 1. I quickly navigate through and select an image. Online tutorial. Let me check on static assets, images. Let me choose this one. Then for this, let me check. Let me just correct some quick dummy text here. Alright, let me just paste this. Alright, let me just use that anyway. So for the status, we can leave it, or rather for the completed status, let's say it's not complete, we select level 1. So basically these two fields, I added them so that at least you can be able to appreciate the different data types. They don't mean so much on our project, but at least you can see. If you want to set a true or false data type, here we have it. Then for a drop down, here we have it. So let me save that and add another one. Let me do project 2. Let me select an image, online tutorial, let me static assets, images, then let me select that. Alright, let me just copy paste that. What I need to do is that I think I can just for uniformity, let me just paste this. Then we can check 3 save. So we have added 2 projects so far. So let me show you how to now to make an update so that we are able to see them on our front end. Let me just make this content uniform. Alright, so what we need to do next, we have this file called views.py file. So we first of all need to check the view that returns this page. So if you can remember from our previous lecture, we mentioned that the index view is the one that is responsible for returning this this page. So what we need to do, let us import our models here from all models, import project. So for you to work with models on these on the views.py file, you first of all need to import them, to import the models. So the next thing, let's define let me define project is equals to. So what we need to do at this stage is that we are now calling the data from our database. Well, as opposed to other languages where you define, or rather you write SQL queries, it's way different with Django. So for Django you don't write SQL queries. So what we do, let's follow this. So project is equals to projects dot objects dot all. So usually the SQL query that returns data, so the SQL query that returns data, we have select all from project. But for Django, we talk of projects dot objects dot all. So it's supposed to fetch all the it's supposed to set to fetch all the projects. After doing that, after fetching all the projects, we need to pass them to our templates. That is how to do it. So we are taking this and more or less like equating it to the project. So what will be available on our HTML template is a variable called project with the project data which we have fetched from our database. So once you do that, you can save that, then navigate to index. So once you come you navigate to the index.html file, you need to identify the pattern. You need to identify a single project, the code for a single project. So if you check through, you are going to note that the pattern starts from here. Let's collapse that as well. So these are the four, well, they have been collapsed to these lines of code. So we need to delete the three of them, or rather we delete the rest and just remain with one. So we are going to loop through this code snippet so that our projects are displayed dynamically. So the first thing, it's healthy to check if there are projects or not, so that if there are no projects, let your website visitor know that there are actually no projects. So what we do is that we write an if statement, if else statement. So let me select that option. So if there are some projects, then display whatever we want to display there. So the else statement should come after this block. So if there are some projects, if project, so remember we fed or rather we passed the variable project to our template, so we are checking if it has data. So it's if project has something, do this, else do this. So if there is no data, we can just display to the user that no data at the moment. All right, so if there is a project, what do we do? Let's expand this. If there is a project, then we do a for loop. For instance, we can just save that and reload this section. So basically there is a project, so it displays this snippet. So if there was no project, it would have showed us that there is no data. Now that we have a project, what do we do with the project? So we do a for loop. For so we have this code snippet that has been generated. So we take the snippet that adds that block and paste it at the head of the code block that we want to use to display our projects. So we previously named it as project. So I believe you have worked with for loops and basically all loops. If you have worked with for loop, you may be aware that there is this common variable of for I in or for j in. So in this case, we can just use any variable to loop through our the project that or rather this variable project that holds our data. So we can talk of something like proj for proj in projects. For proj in project, then we need to do something. So for instance here, we can talk of something like so for you to display the dynamic data that has been fetched from project, you use double curly brackets. Then look at what we said for proj in project. So in between the double curly brackets, we need to have proj dot. So the first field was the title, have the title there. Then the next field was the, let me just confirm, the next field was the information, info. So double curly brackets, then proj dot info. Let us save that and check if it has taken some shape. Let's reload and we see the second project here. How about for the images? So for the image, we need to delete this static image. Then we add the double curly brackets. Then we talk of proj dot image. I think we named it image. Yes, we named it image. Then on sorry, proj.image.url. Remember, we have for these other ones, they are just taking the variable we used for the loop, that is proj dot either the title or the information. But now for this, we need to add .url, this being an image. Then we save that. Let us see if we are able to see something different, and actually we have been able to see that we have changed the image. So just a quick overview. So for the purposes of SEO, for those who might also be interested in taking SEO, you also need to render these alt tag dynamically. So in between, you can name it the project. If the image fails to load for some reason, just add an alt tag of the title, or that is this title of that image or of your project. So we are not able to check if that works for now, but that is for the purposes of SEO. Otherwise, this will just work even without this tag. So far so good. We have been able to add 2 projects. Let's add a third project here. Project 3. Let's choose a file. 9 tutorial static assets images 3. All right, let me just copy paste this. Then let's select anything here and save. We just added a project. Then we reload, and that's our third project. That's our third project. So guys, I trust you see how easy it is to to add project. If you decide you don't want to, or rather you want to delete a project, you not need to go into your HTML file to find project 1 and delete. You just delete it from this section. So the Django admin gives you that privilege of carrying all the CRUD operations of a database. So far so good. We have been able to work with models. I believe with that as the basics, you can be able to, you have got an oversight of how you can now work with models and probably work with complex models. This could be easier, but think of working with something like a model that takes blog post. Think of an e-commerce website. Think along that line. But at least with this, you already have the basics of how to create a model and also render the data dynamically on your browser. So I'm not sure, guys. I'm seeing that it's past 9, 19 minutes past 9, and the session was supposed to take about an hour. So I'm not sure, guys, if we can stop there and probably have a session tomorrow to see how to host this application. What do you think? I think you are just a number. You can just vote. Mhm. Yes. How about the other guys? What do you think? You can just indicate a message so that we are able to know basically what remains. There are just two pieces of information that I would have wanted us to do either today or tomorrow. One of them is hosting. The other one, I think I missed some very important aspect in working with templates. I'm not sure we did that, but we didn't. We actually didn't. So, guys, what's your opinion, guys? Okay. Mm-hmm. Sorry, something to do with forms. Oh, sure, sure. Oh, all right, all right. I think that's another oversight. I actually forgot. Sure, I'm seeing it here. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, yes, please. Sorry? Sorry, I didn't get that right. Okay, so what we have in the models.py, this is where we define the table schema. This is where we instruct Django what our table needs to look like. Then on the views.py file, this is where the logic of consuming data is defined. After creating the data, we need to know how do we use this data, how do we present the data to our clients. So that is we define this in the views.py. But now how the table looks like and what fields to be included in the table, these are defined in the models.py file. uh, okay, perfect, perfect. So I think instead of rushing through, because I think we have three important aspects. One of them is I can see we worked with the templates, but there is a very important aspect we missed. Then we also need to talk something about form submission. You may need to save data that some input from your clients. So we need to check on that, and finally host our application. So if you are to do that now, I think we might get ready. So I think we can have a session tomorrow so that we can finalize on that. Is it okay, guys? We can have a session tomorrow. Jackie, thank you. All right. So is there anyone with a question, a comment before we close the call? Okay. Which link, please? Oh, the link to today's meeting. All right. You can just share it with them and anyone who is willing to run with us. All right. Thank you. Anyone else with a question, comment? All right. So we will have a final session tomorrow. And in case you still need a certificate, we had included a link where you can register. So don't forget to do that, guys. So thank you for showing up and thank you for staying up to this point. So I just want you guys to, for those who haven't started, to get started. For those who are upskilling, to do exactly that and have you guys coding. So thank you very much for your time. Have a good night and see you tomorrow. All right, bye.